Welcome back to I'm in the shop. So for this episode, we're continuing on with the C3 heated handlebar install. And before we get the going, there's been a situation that I have wasn't thinking about at the beginning. So when we install the bars, we have these connectors that go on there, right? I've only connected one, the other one will go in that hole there. With the stock KTM bar mounts, it won't work because this is why. They've changed the way they mounted their bars for these 500s, and that simply won't work. And I won't be driving around like that anytime soon. So we're going to have to order and get the C3 risers. Now I'm going to order the lowest set, which should be close to factory, the bone stock factory, because I'm not a big fan of having the bars high off the bike. So let's get back and see how this comes about. And what I mean by, so let's make the order and we'll magically make them appear like that. Okay, here they are. Okay, so here they are. They're pretty simple. They come in different colors. I ordered some black ones. Let's get some focus happening here. Let's do that again. And here they are. So we have our bar risers, or bar mounts in this case. I ordered them so that they were the lowest of the low, and they're pretty close to factory height, which is nice. Because of the way they changed the bar mounts, we just can't use these by themselves. We need the adapter plates that go with them. So these adapter plates, they've had these now for a year or so, or maybe longer. And the purpose of these is when we change the bars on the new 500s and 350s, just take this off. When we take these off, we have this to look at. So they've now put rubber inserts in. They're no longer threaded in the triple clamp. So in order to get the new mounts to sit flush and proper, there's little adapters that go over top. And that's what these little bad boys are for. They're all machined real nice to fit around that rubber. They drop into place like so. And there we go. Fixed. So let's get to it. Like that. Now again, these are off center, the holes. So if you have them in this position back here, your bars will be further back. And if you have them in this position here, the bars are further forward. So because I sit down on the Snowbike a lot and it's always kind of feeling like it's raked out, I don't need an aggressive front bar position at this point. So I'm going to set them to the rear position, which is going to be back like so. And then they simply just take the nuts and the bolts. They drop down into place. And you thread it in from the bottom. Tighten the factory spec. Once mounted, we can get our C3 bars on the way they should be. Like so. So we're going to put the fittings in the bars and we should be good to go. So let's get at it. Okay, so what I've decided to do here is I've put my valve on the back. So as I'm riding, I can change it back and forth on the fly to control my temperature, because that's exactly what that does. It slows down or speeds up the coolant flow through the bars, which it comes in, it circulates, it goes back, it comes back and kind of leaves. It explains it all on C3's webpage. And by allowing more coolant to flow through, as long as the engine's nice and warm, I get hot toasty bars. If they're too hot, which is probably going to be the case this winter because we hardly have any cold days or hardly any snow. Yeah. But our hopes are high. And we can control the temperature on the hotter days or the colder days. And then this here is my return. So that there will just send all the coolant back into the radiators to be cooled down again, heated back up in the engine, and through the cycle it goes. Alright, so now that we got those on there, we're going to take these stellar looking bar mounts. I mean, that is a thing of beauty. Well done, C3. That's gorgeous. And there's more. Well, right here is a plate for putting on your temperature gauge. But they got all kinds of stuff they can put on these things. Like they literally made it so you can get their GPS mount and all kinds of great stuff. So really cool, really cool. When you start running these lines here, they're really stiff at first, but once they get heated up with the coolant, they kind of mold a little bit with the heat. So if it feels like it's kind of like awkward and tight, it is, but it'll fix itself. Again, it's more important about doing full steering locks and make sure nothing's getting tugged or pulled so that we don't lose a line by accident and starts pissing coolant. You'll probably find yourself putting this on and then maybe loosening it and removing it and taking it off and putting it back on, just because sometimes, you know, things get a little tight with this in place to put the lines on. So you just, you know, help hold the bars on, put the lines in, measure them up, cut them, blah, 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 blah. That's a technical term too, la, 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 la. Okay, so let's get into talking about cutting the hoses. We're using the C3 cutters. Okay, you don't have to use them, but they sure do make it convenient. As I showed you in the other video, when you use side cutters, it squishes a tube and it kind of makes it distorted. We don't want to do that. We want to use this so it's perfect. So it's pretty much just like a really equal razor blade on a triangular bend that will cut it nice. So I've got a rough idea here of the angle of the cut that I want. So I'm putting my this hose down here first, and I'm thinking somewhere about in there, about that length, somewhere right around there. So we're looking about an inch. So we'll take the cutters, put it in place like so, and then just squeeze. And it cuts a perfect, wonderful square cut, ready to be inserted into the unit. So just like we mentioned in the other video, you want to make sure that the line goes in far enough that it kind of stops, and then it goes a little extra to make it fully seat. She is fully seated. Looking good. And then we can take the end of the tool, pry it in there to get this lock ring to squeeze back out so that it locks this tube in place. Like so. That's one hose on. We'll throw the other one on. We'll mount the bars up, and then we'll move on to the next task of starting to build all the stuff on our bars. The last thing is we're going to throw our temperature gauge on, and we're pretty much done with the bar install. The rest of us know exactly what to do to put grips on and brake levers and all the rest of that stuff. So let's finish up with the temperature gauge. Okay, so just before we get into looking into the temperature gauge, from C3, which is a Trail Tech temperature gauge. I believe I actually already have it hanging here somewhere. Yeah, I've already got it mounted up at the front. I must have did that in a previous video. So we'll get that run. But before that, let me just show you another option C3 sells. In case you want a more simpler bar mounting system, they have a bunch of different setups. Not sure exactly what the reasons are, but I bet you're going to find out the reasons as you're building your snow bike. So they have these very simple bar mounts too that go onto the bottom of their bar risers, but they also fit most factory setups. So if you don't want the big dashboard type setup, you can put on very simple replacements instead. They'll still mount in with the existing bar, guards and all the rest of that good stuff. But that one's a Cadillac. That's really the one you want to get. These ones actually are really nice to have, and we're going to be giving them away with a whole bar kit at the Snowdown coming up in March. So yeah, you want to get in on some of that action, you can get yourself a brand new set of C3 bar guards and mounts. All right, let's find our goodies here. So what comes with the mount is also some sticky adhesive tape, some cap pins, and then of course these tiny little Allen bolts already set with Loctite on them, like so. Now, how good does that look? That's perfect. So once we get our wires and everything sorted out in the front, I'll definitely make sure that I'll take up a slack here and run it nicely so it doesn't get caught up in anything, and zip tie it against some other wires, and we're all done with that. Pretty cool. So I'm just going to put my clutch back on, my hand grips, my start connection, my kill switch, my high beam, low beam switch, all that stuff that comes on these dual sport bikes. And we'll be ready to start our next install. So our next video is a video that we've already filmed, and I'm just going to re-release it, and it's going to be about putting the foot pegs on. So the beautiful, wonderful C3 foot pegs. All right. See you soon. Thanks for watching.